Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in again to my channel. This channel is called X Farmer. Please comment and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot, and if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment if you're unsure about anything on this video. Today's video is about cow care and what you will expect through the season of certain things that happen to your cows, how to keep condition on them, and what you will sort of find with your herd. So the first one I've got today is keeping condition score on cows, especially during the springtime. Like you'll have your your second calvers that are the most susceptible. And a lot of farmers will actually separate their second calvers and their heifers, and they'll put them in one mob instead of actually putting them in with milking cows, or they'll just have them in with a smaller sized cow. So let's say a 400 kg cow or something like that, so they don't compete for the feed. So yeah, you'll find those cows they'll start to lose condition. They will just not look right. They'll look skinny in their pin bones. They would have gone off their feed a bit, and they just won't look right. So the best way to prevent cows losing condition, especially during the springtime, you'll have to separate them and then put them into another herd. You might have to put them cows on once a day or 16 hours. It just depends how much condition they have lost. And you'll have to add in some extra feed like silage or meal or something to make up for them to put their condition score on. So in the springtime, you will find cows will start losing condition, and even in the autumn time, as you're starting to wind your cows down and to dry them off, that's when you'll find the problems. So yeah, separating them is a good idea, and you'll just see it. You'll see your big cows. And the cows that are losing condition are normally getting pushed around by the bigger cows. So having them in a separate mob is really effective. So going on to the next one is watching out for lame cows, and the way that you do that is by keeping your lanes maintained, obviously, because that's where a lot of the lameness comes from, is bad lanes where the pebbles will come to the surface and get in the cow's hooves. And normally that comes along when the weather is really wet and the cows are having to walk a far distance as well. Their feet become soft, their hooves become soft, and the stones can start penetrating their hooves. So ways to prevent that is what we used to do on the farm was use, it was like these special type of mats that you can add in minerals. So we would use copper sulfate, and we'd put some copper sulfate in a bucket of warm water, mix that up, and then we'll put it on the mat. And what it actually does is it hardens the cow's hooves. So when it becomes, let's say when it's wet, like what I just mentioned, it'll harden their hooves enough so none of those stones can actually protrude into their hooves. So when you're applying this, you should really be doing it from the start of the season. You don't want to be doing it a lot later in the season, because what can actually happen is you can get cows that already have stones in their hooves, and then you add the copper sulfate to that. Their hooves actually start hardening, and then the stone gets caught up in their hoof, and it's really hard to dig it back out again. So this has to be started from the start of the season. It is quite a bit of work. You have to clean the mats after milking, every milking, and reapply the copper sulfate. Or you might even have to use zinc as well, like zinc on the mats. That also helps for hardening of cows' hooves. Another thing that you can use as well is cows' hoof baths as well, that they walk through, and then that will kill off any dermatitis, and will be copper sulfate as well, which will keep their hooves hard as well. So yeah, lameness in cows is a really big thing, especially if the cows are walking a far distance to their paddocks. and if your lanes are not too good either. So it's something that can really affect cows' fertility, eating of grass. They lose condition because of lameness, and also it's just and it can actually affect them so bad that they get a real bad infection up in their leg as well. So even getting the hoof trimmer out, I would advise. It depends how many lame cows you are getting, but if you're getting in the big numbers of lame cows, getting the hoof trimmer in, and they will do the Dutch 5-stage trimming process, which will trim back any hooves that are overgrown and stop or prevent any more lameness or issues in your cows. So getting them about 4 or 5 times, if not more, to do your trimming is really advisable as well for your cows. So yeah, that's another one. On to the next one. So milking practices for cows. So the teats of the cows is the biggest thing for for preventing mastitis. So let's say your cow's teats are cracked and your teat spray is not mixed up right, or the ratio of your teat spray is not how it should be, then you will get cows with a lot of cracked teats. Or it can be your liners as well in your shed. If your liners are not suctioning on properly and they're slipping all the time, that can cause mastitis as well. So you really need to get your shed running properly. So you get like a shed test done. So they'll check your vacuum and everything like that, just to make sure that your vacuum is running properly, because that can cause mastitis as well, and for cups to not stay on properly. So getting your shed tests, your liners right for your cows so they're not slipping, especially for your heifers as well, because that can cause mastitis, and getting your teat spray to its right ratio. In the springtime, you want to be adding more glycerine into your teat spray, especially if you're using iodine, because iodine is a lot stronger and it's a lot harder on the cow's teats. So if you use a lot more glycerine, so that just keeps the teats from cracking and prevents the mastitis. So yeah, that's a big one. And upping the dose a bit more in the springtime too. Anytime it's the wet season, you need to be adding in more like higher doses, but in the summertime, that's normally when the mastitis is under control and there's not as many bugs that the cows can get. It's only when it's wet during the season and it gets cold, that's when you start getting the mastitis. So moving on, so a good thing to be giving the cows is a B12 and selenium. I would say about 3 times a year. You don't want to overdo that either, because it's got the selenium in it, obviously. So that can overdose the cows. So if you give them that 3 times a year, it'll help with their rumination, and it will also help with keeping the condition on the cows and keeping them healthy as well. And the selenium will be helping with the reproductive side of everything as well. Moving on, so trimming of cows' tails. That's also a big thing, is a big job, that you need to do, maybe every month or couple of months. I know now you can't put a ring on the cow's tails, like it can't go up. It can only go up the tail. I think it's only about 1/3 of the way, so it's just above the udder, I think. So if you haven't ringed your cow's tails, you need to be trimming them back, because if they get dirty tails, that causes mastitis. And plus, it's annoying as well when you got a dirty tail and you're trying to cut the cows and you got shit all over your arms. It's dirty, and I don't think Fonterra would like that idea either. And yeah, with the mastitis side of things. So moving on to the next one. If you have any sick cows, this is just starting to fall down. I'll just pull this across a bit. That's better. So if you have any sick cows and you pick up on the cows are sick, they will normally separate themselves from the herd. They'll have droopy ears. They'll look depressed, and they'll be slow walking to the shed. So if you see a sick cow, If you have collars in the shed, that will be able to draft it out for you, draft the cows out immediately, or if you pick up on it, tell your boss, or draft them out straight away, because what happens is if you don't get onto them quick enough, you're going to lose the cow. You want to treat it with either endomycin or penicillin, or if you're unsure about what is wrong with the cow, just call your vet and get them to have a look at the cow, because the quicker you get onto treating the cow, the quicker it will, you can save it. So moving on, also keep an eye on cows' shit as well. So during the season, if they're really loose with their poo, like if it's got bubbles in it, that's an indicator that it's they're very loose. They're loose in their rumination, so they need some extra fibre added into their diet as well, which is straw or a little bit of hay or some silage as well, because the nitrogen in the grass will make them very loose, and it's acidic. And especially a young grass paddock, if you give cows really lush grass, they'll have bubbles in their poo. But normally with an indicator of cow shit, you want it to be in between loose and I call it like an elephant dung. So a really big pile of dried up crap, basically. So you want it in between that. So it's not too loose, but it's slightly in between. That's what you want to have. So the next one, any cows that are during the season are sitting on their side and are just laying on their side, it's advisable that you drive up beside them, make sure that they're not cast. Cast is where a cow is on its side and she's got so much weight on her side that she can't actually pull herself back over. So if you have a cast cow, she'll actually be unable to breathe, and that's what eventually ends up killing the cow. So you want to be keeping an eye on that as well. If a cow's lying on its side, just toot your horn or yell, "Hey cow," really loud, and that cow will get up if she's fine, or if not, go to the cow and get her up. If not, talk to your boss, or you'll have to manually try push her over to stop her from suffocating herself. And another sign of that as well is normally it could be they're down with milk fever, and you'll know pretty quickly because they're lying right out on their side and there's no movement going on, and their breathing will normally be very heavy breathing as well. So that's something you've got to be I used to always just take a couple of bags with you in the motorbike toolbox, or just on you on the motorbike in general. So if you've got to down a cow, you can quickly put it into the cow's vein under the skin in the triangle, and you can sort them on when you're there with them straight away. Oh, that's falling down. Back that up. So yeah, so if you have that with you on board. Gee, I didn't use very good tape for this at all. This was just falling off. On to the next one. You'll during summertime, you will run into the issue of having bloat with your cows as well. So bloat is from clover in the grass and for them gorging too much of the grass. So let's say you let go of your first row of cows and they get to the paddock first, they just go for the feed, eat all the clover first, and they are the ones that normally blow up. Or it could just be that there's a lot of clover in the grass and it causes gas in their rumen. And the way to prevent the bloat is by either putting bloat oil in the dosatron. I don't really like bloat oil because once you start giving it to the cows, you've got to sort of carry it on, and it actually affects their rumen as well. It's very corrosive of their rumen, so it's not very good for the cows. But another option, which is a little bit more expensive, is adding in Rumensin into the dosatron, and that helps. That's already got a wee bit of bloat oil in it, but it's not as corrosive or anything like that, so you don't have the issues. Or another thing that you can do is hold the cows up, put a fence up halfway of how much they would normally get if they're break. So when the cows get in there, they've got a small amount of area and they can't gorge. And then once you've finished milking, go into the paddock, wind the fence up, and give them the rest of their break, so they're not all going for it. That's some ways. Or sometimes a little bit of silage. A little bit of silage can actually also help with bloat as well. It can stop the gorging. They'll go for the silage first because they love it. Or if you're feeding meal in the shed, if you're feeding a couple of kgs, that can also help as well. So that's another prevention. On to the next one. Another issue that you might run into is with the bloat as well. If you run into an emergency and the cow's blown up that much, it seems like she's fallen down and she's going to suffocate. You can stab the cow on her left side, her left triangle. It's just above her rib cage. So if you stab where it's blown up the most on the triangle, you stab the cow, you can save her, and it releases all the gas. It's not advised that you do that unless the cow is going to die or it's in an emergency. But if you're not sure, talk to your boss or get a vet out. Well, you'll have to get the vet out anyways once you stab the cow, because they'll have to stitch the cow back up again. So on to the next one, nitrate poisoning. So when you have nitrate poisoning, that is normally in your young grass paddocks, normally ryegrass. Ryegrass is really bad for it, and that is caused by the temperatures of the soil being a lot higher than they normally are, and hot, like overcast days will cause it. And the way that you test for nitrate poisoning is you can use strips. So get a wee bit of the juice of the grass, put on the strip, and it'll tell you by colour, when the colour changes, if it's high in nitrates or it's not. Or you can just use a soil analyzer that you just stick into the ground, and it'll tell you what your nitrates are. So sign of nitrate poisoning, it can be really dangerous. It can actually kill a lot of cows very quickly if you're not onto it. So if they consume that grass, I've heard of farmers that have lost multiple cows just in one night because they haven't been onto it, or they haven't realised that they've got high nitrates in their grass. And it can be really unforgiving as well. So right, moving on to the next one. Another one as well is Yoni's cows. So you'll find that some of your cows will get Yonis as they get older. It's something that the cows will pick up from another cow via either from the colostrum of the cow that's given to the calf, or it will be picked up from the cow's poo or urine in the paddock, and then they consume the grass, and that's how it's spread through the herd. And what it actually does is it affects the small intestines and the ruminant. And so what it does is it affects, it's an infection that's incurable, so the cows will not put on any weight. They'll just, it's like, I guess you could say it's like when you are sick and you have a vomiting and diarrhea bug, or let's just say you've got a diarrhea bug and you just keep having diarrhea. That's basically what it is. So you don't put on any weight, you can't put on any weight, and you can't, well, for a cow, they can't produce milk. So it's infectious, it's incurable. I wish there was a cure, but there's ways to prevent it. And the way to prevent it is the cow that let's say you got it tested from the vet, they did a blood test and they've worked out it's got Yonis. What you want to do is separate that Yonis cow from the rest of the cows, maybe way down the back of the farm, and so they're not in cross-contamination, because once you get it, you want to separate the cows as quick as possible, or just culling the cow, sending it away, because the longer they're on the farm, the more it's going to spread, and it's going to spread to the cows. The times that you'll pick up on Yonis is just after the springtime, once they've been under a lot of stress with that transition from calving then straight into milking. That will also be an issue that you will run into. Another one is ketosis. Now it's not like Yonis, but the cows will become depressed. It's when they start to produce a lot of milk, but they're producing too much milk too quickly, and they go into ketosis, and they're always looking very depressed and their head down and dripping milk all the time, and it's taking far too much energy from them to keep up. It's like when we go through ketosis. So you can give them a drench to help with that as well. That's normally, you will find that you'll get ketosis during calving time once the cows have calved. So I hope this has been helpful with some of the things you can help your cows with. So these are the main ones that you will run into with your cows, and just what to look out for your for any cows that just seem a bit off, or you have issues with through the season. But if you're unsure, always ask your boss. Don't leave it till the next day and don't mention anything. And I'm sure your boss will tell you that anyways, that you need to mention everything. If you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comment section. I'm happy to reply to all your comments if you're unsure of what I've explained in today's video. Thanks for tuning in to X Farmer. This is a bit of a mongrel, how I just used this. This has not worked too well with this paper, how I've stuck it up, but hey, it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a good week, you guys, and you're loving the warmer weather. This is X Farmer, out. See you later.